Have you ever heard a story so beautiful and heartbreaking it stays with you forever? Today, we're diving deep into one of Lithuania's most cherished and haunting fairy tales. Eglė, the Queen of Serpents. It's a story of love, betrayal, and a transformation that will leave you breathless. So, grab a cozy blanket and let's journey into the mystical world of ancient folklore. Our story begins on a warm summer day by the shimmering shores of the Baltic Sea. A young woman named Eglė, whose name means fir tree, decides to go for a swim with her two sisters. After a refreshing dip, she returns to the shore to find something startling. Curled up inside her folded clothes, it's a large serpent. Panicked, she and her sisters try to shoo it away, but the serpent doesn't budge. Then, to her utter shock, the serpent speaks in a hissing, human voice. It promises to leave her clothes alone, but only if Eglė pledges to marry him. Thinking it's just a strange trick of the sun and the sea, and desperate to get dressed and go home, Eglė agrees. She makes the promise, hardly believing a serpent could hold her to it. The serpent slithers away, and Eglė, shaken but relieved, puts on her clothes and rushes home. She tries to forget the bizarre encounter, dismissing it as a weird dream. But a promise made to a magical being is not so easily broken. 3 days later, a massive procession of serpents arrives at her family's home. Thousands upon thousands of them, slithering and crawling. A truly terrifying sight. They've come to claim their king's bride, as promised. Eglė's family is horrified. They try to trick the serpents, first by dressing a goose in a veil, then a sheep, and finally a cow. But each time a cuckoo bird in a nearby tree calls out the deception, warning the serpents that they're being fooled. Left with no other choice, the family finally brings out the trembling Eglė. With a heavy heart and tears in her eyes, she bids her family farewell. The serpents lead her back to the seashore, where she closes her eyes and follows him into the waves, disappearing beneath the surface of the water. Eglė expects a cold, dark, watery grave. Instead, she finds herself in a magnificent palace, more splendid than anything she could have imagined on land. The halls are made of amber, the ceilings of diamond, and the floors of silver. And standing before her is not a serpent, but a handsome and noble man. He introduces himself as Zilvinas, the Serpent King. He explains that he is a human king who can transform into a serpent. He had fallen in love with her the moment he saw her by the sea. As Eglė explores the breathtaking underwater kingdom, her fear slowly turns into wonder and then into love. Zilvinas is kind, gentle, and treats her like a true queen. They get married in a grand ceremony, and their love blossoms. For years, they live in perfect happiness, and their family grows. Eglė gives birth to 4 beautiful children, 3 sons named Oak, Ash, and Birch, and a precious daughter, the youngest, named Aspen. Life is idyllic, but a small part of Eglė's heart still aches for the world she left behind. As the years pass, a deep longing to see her parents and sisters grows within her. She misses the sun on her face, the smell of the forest, and the familiar faces of her kin. She finally confesses her homesickness to Zil. He is saddened by her request, fearing that if she leaves, she will never return. To test her resolve and perhaps delay her departure, he sets her 3 seemingly impossible tasks. First, she must spin a never-ending tuft of silk. Second, she must wear out a pair of iron shoes. And third, she must bake a pie with no utensils. Eglė is devastated. How could she possibly complete these tasks? But her desire to see her family is too strong to give up. As she weeps in despair, a mysterious old woman, a sorceress, appears before her. Taking pity on the queen, the sorceress gives her the magical solutions. She tells Eglė to find a toad in the spinning box to help her spin the silk, to take the iron shoes to a blacksmith to be heated and worn down, and gives her the secret to baking a pie using sifted water and foam from the sea. With the sorceress's help, Eglė completes all 3 tasks. Seeing that she has succeeded, Zilvinas knows he must keep his promise. His heart is heavy, but he prepares for her departure. Before she and the children leave for the surface world, he teaches them a secret chant to call him from the sea upon their return. It is ego. If I am alive, the sea foam will turn to milk. If I am dead, it will turn to blood. He embraces his family one last time, and they ascend to the shore. Eglė's reunion with her family is joyous at first. They are amazed to see her alive and well, with 4 beautiful children. They celebrate her return for 9 days. But as the time for her to go back to her underwater home approaches, her brothers become resentful and cruel. They don't want their sister to return to a serpent king. They see her husband not as a handsome king, but as a monstrous snake who stole her away. They decide they must get rid of him. They try to force Eglė to reveal the secret call, but she remains loyal to her husband and refuses. So, her brothers turn to more sinister methods. They take her children one by one into the dark forest, threatening them, trying to scare the secret out of them. The 3 sons, Oak, Ash, and Birch, are brave and stay silent, no matter how much their uncles threaten them. But the youngest, little Aspen, is terrified by the darkness and the menacing threats. Frightened and crying, she reveals the magical words to summon her father. Armed with the secret, the brothers go down to the shore. They call out the chant Eglė's daughter had revealed. Hearing the familiar call, Zylvinas rises from the depths, expecting to see his beloved wife and children. Instead, he is met by his brothers-in-law, their faces twisted with hate. They attack him with scythes, and the Serpent King, caught by surprise and betrayed, falls. Unaware of the horrific betrayal, Eglė and her children finally head back to the sea. Standing on the shore, she calls out for her husband, chanting the special words. She waits for the sea foam to turn to milk, a sign of his life and love. But as she watches, a horrifying crimson color spreads across the waves. The sea foam bubbles and froths with blood. A faint voice rises from the depths, the dying whisper of her beloved Zil, telling her of her brother's treachery and her daughter's unwitting betrayal. Eglė's world shatters. The love of her life is gone, murdered by her own family. Her heart is consumed by a grief so immense, so profound, that she cannot bear to remain human. Standing on the blood-stained shore, she makes a final, desperate transformation. In her sorrow, she turns herself into a tall, dark fir tree, the Eglė. She then turns her strong, brave sons into the mighty oak, the sturdy ash, and the resilient birch. And her youngest, her little daughter who trembled in fear, she transforms into a quivering aspen tree, destined to forever shiver in the wind, as if still crying from guilt and fear. And so, the legend goes, if you walk through a Lithuanian forest today, you can still see Eglė and her children. The rustling leaves are said to be the whispers of their tragic story, a timeless reminder of love, loss, and the unbreakable bond between the human world and the magic that lies just beneath the surface. This story is such a powerful part of Lithuanian culture, and it speaks volumes about the complexities of family, love, and loyalty. What do you think about Eglė's choice at the end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and sharing this story with me. If you enjoyed this dive into folklore, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.